protected land in the world. Right now, we are witnessing a disconnect. This Point Reyes National Seashore is the biggest protected coastline south of Alaska in the United States. It is home to thousands of unique plants and animals found nowhere else in the world. This is the home of the Tule elk. Yeah. But look around and what do you see? I don't see any wildlife here. The National Park Service has failed this ecosystem. Yeah. 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 The National Park Service has failed the elk, and the National Park Service has failed us. Yeah. Yeah. They have continued to allow 24 private ranches to degrade this land. They have allowed over 6,000 cows to trample the soil, to destroy the coastal prairies, to pollute the waterways, and they have released their final plan, which will expand this industry. Yep. They have released the final plan that will not just expand but allow diversification, that will allow on-site processing, aka slaughterhouses, on the national park land. And they have given license to allow the Tule elk to be shot in order to protect the cows. They have created what my friend Skylar Thomas has called a biodiversity graveyard. Point Reyes is literally magic. And it is under attack by the people sworn to protect it. That's why we're here. We are here to keep the National Park Service accountable. Point Reyes says they have a duty to uphold the cultural resources of this park, and that they will create a model of commercial livestock grazing coexisting with wildlife. No! Does this look like that? Coexisting does not look like shooting a wild native animal for eating its own food. Right. Coexisting does not look like fencing in the largest herd of Tule elk in the state of California behind an 8-foot fence with no perennial streams and allowing them to die of thirst and malnutrition and calling it natural. That's not coexisting. Coexisting does not look like millions of pounds of manure untreated going directly into the ocean, directly into the streams and tributaries where our endangered species live. I am beyond frustrated at the Park Service. And I'm scared for the future of the park. I'm scared for the lives of the Tule elk and all the wildlife and the coastal prairie. I'm scared of the climate crisis and the biodiversity crisis we are in right now, threatening all life on the planet. It's heartbreaking, which is why I want to thank you for coming out, because I believe that our emotions are powerful. Yes. And we can let our emotions break us, or we can use it as fuel to make change. And now with the park's final plan out, there's less than 30 days to stop it. So thank you for coming out. We're powerful, and it's up to us to save this place. Our demands are reject the final plan. Phase out all ranching in the National Seashore. Restore the coastal prairies. And let the Tule elk live.
I just want to say thank you so very, very much, everyone who have taken your Sundays off to come and speak out for the elk. What you are doing here today has made a massive difference. You have shown in a way that has never been seen before how much local people care about the Tule elk. Over 7,000 comments, I'm sure many of you wrote into the Park Service, and 91% wanted the elk protected and the ranches phased out. That has not happened. So I'm very, very happy to see so many of you out here today. Democracy has failed, but we will not let them raise this place. As others have said here, this is a microcosm of a national issue. Ranches around the country are pushing out our native wild animals. We have seen the destruction and killing of wild wolf packs in Washington. We are seeing wild horses, Mustangs, a symbol of American freedom, pushed off of their land and slaughtered at the end of the day because ranchers want to suck the land dry. And unfortunately, these are some other of the victims. These poor little baby cows have been taken away from their moms. It's a dying industry and they want to kill more. And if we don't win today, the elk will be just the first in a long line of wild animals who are going to be killed. So please do take the actions on the site, idausa.org/don'tshoot-elk. You can go to the other websites, treespiritproject.org and forelk.org. And please use what we've done here today. Take that community and speak from the heart for all of the animals, not just the wild animals, the Tule elk, but also these animals here. Thank you so much for making this the biggest demonstration ever for the Tule elk. And I just want to say one more time, we want live elk, not livestock. So thank you.
And I want to let Mr. McClure and the ranchers know here that we are not the enemy of dairy. We are the solution, because as we've seen since the 1970s, dairy has been on the decline. Last year, we saw the bankruptcy of 2 large dairy companies, Dean Foods and Borden. And we see ranchers across the country folding up, filing bankruptcy, committing suicide. So I understand the economic turmoil that is affecting the industry now and what they must be feeling. So I understand that. And it's just like when the horse and buggy was replaced by the automobile. There is a new future for food, and it is not making dairy products out of cows. There is a new future of food, and you can participate in that. And at Miyoko's, we are actually going to be helping a dairy farm convert to growing crops. We're going to be subsidizing them instead of the government subsidizing them. Let's talk about the economic impact that we are talking about at Point Reyes National Seashore. It's not just the activists here. The whole community here believes that these dairies are necessary for a thriving agricultural economy for Marin County and the surrounding areas. The questions we have to ask is, how much are they actually contributing? And how much of that is offset by government subsidies? There are no government subsidies for plant-based companies. I had to do it on my own. And I can tell you that I have 3 times as many employees as all of the dairies here in Point Reyes National Seashore. I contribute at least twice as much to the economy, and we provide everybody a living wage, full benefits, including all meals, health insurance, 401k, and even a tuition reimbursement program. This is the industry that is growing, and I invite dairy farmers to join this industry. I also asked the Park Services, what would happen if I put my zero carbon emission business out here in Point Reyes National Seashore? Would you allow that? We did a life cycle analysis and found that our products were up to 98% lower in greenhouse gas emissions than their dairy counterparts. Instead, we're going to spend millions of dollars helping these dairies become supposedly carbon neutral by financing methane digesters. Why are we doing that? Why is the state of California going to be financing methane digesters to solve a problem that's being created by a private industry on park lands? I'm not getting a handout. So why are we supporting a dying industry? I also want to point out that of all the mammals on planet Earth, 96% of them are humans or livestock. Only 4% are wildlife. We have seen a 60% decline in wildlife in the last 60 years. Are we now going to see the beginning of that decline even more? Are we going to push those numbers down to 3% or 2%? This is what's happening right now. And the actions of the National Park Services and the U.S. Wildlife Services, which is another organization that exists solely to exterminate wildlife that either threatens or competes with cattle ranching across the entire country, at a tune of $100 million of taxpayer dollars to fund the decimation of wildlife. That is bullshit, as that sign says. Don't get me wrong, I love cows. I have cows. And they're not a herd. What about humane farming? Let's talk about humane ranching. Because everyone in Marin and Sonoma believes that we practice humane ranching. Is it humane to rip a calf away from a mom? No. And raise them in isolation in these little hutches? No. Are these, would you say these are a room of one's own? No. Or are they solitary confinement? I rescued a cow that was in one of those. And I can tell you, when she saw the green grass at Rancho Compasión and ran and experienced liberty and freedom for the first time at the age of 3 months, she was overjoyed. And when she met her first substitute mom, she was overjoyed. I've seen the joy in individual animals. How can we tolerate so-called greenwashed humane farming or humane-washed practices that do not respect the liberty and individuality of these beautiful creatures? Humankind must evolve to a point where we do become truly humane, and that is my hope. I hope that we can not only go beyond the activists here, but reach our communities, give them the economic argument for why this is not working. How much money is it costing versus how much money are they actually contributing to the local economy? I'd like to know. I think we need an investigative journalist to really, really delve into that. Yeah. I say again, I'm not your enemy. The plant-based industry is the solution for the future of food, and you can join that before it's too late. We have a program where we're trying to partner with dairy farmers to convert them to a plant-based industry. We'll pay them. Perhaps more than the average dairy farmer in the United States makes $30,000 a year. And most of that comes from government subsidies. Wow. So it's not a lucrative lifestyle. Do you want a better lifestyle? Let us help you. Thank you. Thank you.
We're the only state that has our own subspecies of North American elk, the Tule elk. It's a California endemic species, and it's important to use that term because it's so critical. Originally, there were 500,000 Tule elk in California. Wow. How many are there now? 5,000. Maybe 5,700. So less than 1%. And even with the simple growth rate of 14% per year of the calves that survive statewide, we should have, 90, 100,000 plus elk. But we only have 5,700. California Department of Fish and Game has decided that's a good state. They're doing really well. That's a good state number. I don't believe it. I'm sorry. Many of the herds that I started studying in the early 80s are gone. So places like Carrizo Plains National Monument, it's almost impossible to find the elk in parts of the park. So again, these are restricted use lands. There's 3 categories of federal lands. These are restricted use lands, the most protected lands on earth. If these Tule elk of the 25 herds, maybe, again, some of them have disappeared, of the 25 herds in the state, if these elk aren't protected here, we are not guaranteed there's going to be Tule elk in your children's lifetime. I am very concerned because the Tule elk went through a genetic bottleneck. When they went down to maybe 20 individuals. That means we lost almost all of the Tule elk. And so their gene alleles are a very big concern. And then we have hunting. And again, You know, I understand that people want to hunt, but what do they take? The biggest bulls. And so that's not how nature works. So we're getting the evolution of the weak and sick is occurring not just in Tule elk populations, but other populations that are hunted. This is ground zero for the fight. We have to protect the elk here because we're not guaranteed they're going to continue on private lands. And also of the 730 elk that are found in Point Reyes National Seashore, as you all know, there's a captive herd. That's ridiculous. There are other places where the elk are captive. It's horrible to watch. I mean, I've traveled to many of the places. It's terrible to watch. And then to threaten the few, 124 elk at Drake's Beach, the pastoral lands, to threaten those 124 elk that are free roaming in a national park? What do you think?
No. Bullshit.
I don't understand it. So I've been fighting this battle for a long time. I have never seen a movement like this. I've been up to the state office many times because the group that really has the legal jurisdiction over the Tule elk is the California Department of Fish and Game. They'll always be Fish and Game to me. Now the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. I've been there. I've been up to the governor's office. I kept saying, let's get these guys declared as a protected species. They're not. We need to get a special designation for the Tule elk, and this should be ground zero for their protection. Yeah. Thank you so much for your good work, everyone.
You know, with all due respect to Mr. McClure and the other ranchers out here, most of us feel that the original deal, the ranchers were generously compensated to sell their land, and that was to allow them to move out, buy property elsewhere. And our research shows that most of the leaseholders do actually own ranch land outside the park. So most of them actually have a way to exit. This battle needs to be won. There's a real synergy happening here. It's time to ask the ranchers to leave. They are 30 years overdue from the original deal. It doesn't matter the excuses that Jared Huffman and others have made for them. It is time for them not to be subsidized by us taxpayers, and it is certainly time for them to stop damaging our national seashore. Right? So, from Marty Griffin, thank you all.
I'm just so moved walking among you and seeing all the people that have come. We're plenty intelligent. We're supposedly, right, the most intelligent species on the planet, us humans. And yet look what we've done with the place. So it was Mother Teresa who taught me we're not capable of doing great things. Mother Teresa said that. We're not capable of doing great things, only small things with great heart. So all of you are coming for your own personal reasons and your connection to wildlife and the elk and the cows and the land and the parks and the vision of this planet, living more in harmony with it, have brought you here, and you've touched my heart. So I want to thank you for that. This is what it's going to take, is love and connection with each other and with the land and with the animals we share this planet with.